Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Venu's Weekly Cricket Catch Up. We've got Fizan with me. How are you doing this week, Fizan?
I'm good. Really excited for number 8, I think it is, of Venu's Weekly Cricket Catch Up. So, yeah, can't wait to get stuck in.
Yeah, let's get started. So, a lot of cricket that's occurred this week. Let's start off with the Australia against India series, where India had an emphatic victory at Brisbane, thanks to Rishabh Pant's excellent innings in the fourth innings, and yeah, it was a fantastic victory for India, building on from their last series victory in Australia a couple of years ago. So they won 2-1, and it was the first time Australia defeated at Brisbane at the Gabba in 32 years, and they're able to chase 320 plus on a day 5 wicket. A very good achievement from India.
Yeah, 100%. I think it was 328 they chased. Australia would be disappointed given that the Gabba is a fortress, has been for them for a number of years. First time they've been beaten since 1988, I think the stat was. And yeah, Rishabh Pant played an incredible knock in day 5 for them, I guess aided by Pujara, who played a bit of a different innings and, said he was happy to get hit by Cummins at times because he didn't want to face any possibility of potentially gloving it or nicking behind. So it was an interesting day, but Pant, I think, was I think you could say is the overall hero for that day 5. And he had a very good series after being not selected for that first game when Saha obviously was selected over him. After that and after now, 2 very vital knocks and helping them to that 2-1 victory, I think he is going to definitely be picked for that England series, and they'll be looking to him as a long-term wicketkeeper now, I think, wicketkeeper batsman. His keeping, I think, was a little bit... I still think it's a little bit to work on, but I'm sure he will work on it. But batting-wise, he definitely has the ingredients that seems to have matured, I think, over the series. India as a whole played very, very well given the amount of injuries they had. They seem to have this golden generation of fast bowlers that they have, that they, in my mind, and as long as I've been watching cricket, they've never had that, and they seem to have at least 7 fast bowlers who can bowl, around that 140k mark or more, and have good control as well. So it seems like Indian cricket is in a very good spot at the moment. I think the last 3 series against Australia, they've beaten them 2-1 in each of the series. And the first one was in India, and the last one, as you said, I think it was 2 years ago, was in Australia, and this one again in Australia. So for them, yeah, I mean, nothing really but positives, to be honest with you, considering they didn't have Kohli, their captain. Rahane captain very well, and Bumrah was missing for that last test match as well. And so the guys who came in definitely stepped up, and they'll have some selection headaches, but there'll be good selection headaches for the England tour, of England's tour of India even. And I think, to be honest with you, it has to be up there with one of the best away victories ever in Test cricket. So I'm sure it'll be in the question now. So when we talk about best, Test series victories away from home, this will be in the conversation, I think, now going forward. And yeah, a very, very good. I think it was a good series. Australia will be disappointed given they're at home. They've lost to India now the last 3 series. A lot of question marks around them, but very positive series for India.
Yeah, you've summed it up really well, Fizan. I think the fact India had so many injuries, their pace attack was depleted. They didn't have their best player in Virat Kohli, and their captain Virat Kohli had to leave after the first Test match. It was a complete team. You can't even say team performance. It was a complete squad performance by India, and there are question marks about Australia's performance. I think they couldn't finish the game off at Sydney, I believe, where they couldn't get Ashwin and who was the other batsman out? I forgot, but there was another batsman in. They just couldn't get out, and Vihari out. And also, there were moments in in the last Test match where they should have really finished the game off. And there'll be question marks over the batting, especially the lower middle order, especially, and maybe about Tim Payne's captaincy. There'll be question marks there as well. But overall, it was an excellent series to follow as a neutral. It was a fantastic display. It was great to watch. So that series has come to an end. Quite sad about it, really, but I guess all good things have to come to an end, don't they, Fizan? But I'm sure there'll be.
I mean, look, it was a very, very good series, as you said, and I think it ended in the right note. I think, in a very, very dramatic final day, and I think now going forward, there's some really, really good series coming up, which I'm sure we'll discuss some going on at the moment as well. And yeah, let's looking forward to discussing those as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. So let's go on to another series that's going on at the moment. So Sri Lanka against England, the second Test match, the final Test match at Galle. And basically, so let's have a look at the scorecard. So once again, Root hit a majestic 183. A fantastic knock by Joe Root. If he just looks a class above the rest of the England batsmen. And in contrast to Sri Lanka, lasithembuldeniya looks a class above all the other Sri Lankan bowlers. So it was a great day of play today, and England need another 40 odd runs to get on par with Sri Lanka's first innings score. However, Sri Lanka will be looking to get one of the last wicket of Jack Leach or Anderson out early tomorrow, so they can hopefully get a 40-run lead. So at the moment it's quite even Stevens, but slightly Sri Lanka are slightly ahead. But once again, thanks to Joe Root, England are in a good position.
Yeah, 100%. I think this has been a really, really competitive Test match, and good to see after. I think we can safely say England dominated, most of that first Test and ended up winning in pretty emphatic fashion. But Sri Lanka came back with vengeance, and I think I said to you that they'll learn from this and they'll come back and they'll play a lot better, and they have done. That first innings score of 381 is a very good score, I thought. Really, really, really good knock by Angelo Matthews of 110, and Dick Weller basically put on a performance I think a lot of Sri Lankans have been waiting for him for a very long time in Test cricket. 92 for him, and Dewan Pereira, the 38-year-old, 67 for him, and going strong. So I think overall that was a very good innings by them. And then, look, obviously James Anderson got a six for. There's a lot of question marks around the spinners because they didn't pick up any wickets, and I think it's the first time in quite some time that all wickets have been taken by the seam attack in the Test innings. And considering it's in Galle, which is known as a spinner's paradise, it was very strange to see that. But yeah, as you said, Joe Root put on another masterclass in how to play spin, swept incredibly well once again, used his feet very well. He prefers to play, I think, back foot to some deliveries that you may go forward to, but it works for him. And technically, he plays the ball very late, and he's worked on that. There was a graphic they showed where he started playing the ball a lot later compared to what he has done. I think it was in 2019. So he is in terrific form after that double ton. And look, England at 339 for 9, as you said. I think it is slightly advantage Sri Lanka. And how can we forget about Mbudeniya? Another Lasith strikes again. Lasith Malinga, obviously, what a mark he made on not just Sri Lankan cricket, but world cricket. And there's another Lasith here in Mbudeniya, the left-arm spinner, wreaking havoc once again. And 7 wickets for him, and incredible bowling, it has to be said. I think I said 6 catches at first or second slip. Just shows how well he bowled. Joss Buttler did well for his 55. But yeah, Joe Root was a standout. And if Sri Lanka now can go on and get an early wicket, early doors, and as you said, have that around. So I think they're leading by 42 runs. If they can keep it to around that 40 mark and build on it, then we're in for another cracking day. And hopefully this Test match will keep on coming up with the goods, because so far it's been a very intriguing Test match.
Yes, certainly, Fazan, and it's I'm looking forward to the last 2 days of the Test match. It's going to be a good one. So tune in, everyone. That's for sure. So let's move on to the Bangladesh West Indies series. So as we already know, Bangladesh have already won the series 2-0, and the third ODI is going to start tomorrow at Chattogram. So West Indies are looking to get some ODI Super League points, because that's important for them to make sure they qualify for the World Cup in 2023. And Bangladesh maybe are looking to try some new players ahead of more challenging white ball assignments in New Zealand in March. However, yeah, the West Indies are looking to get points so that they don't have to take the qualifiers route. And also Bangladesh will also want to get points as well. Even though they won the series, they'll get more points for winning. But they also want to make sure they play good cricket, because they've got more competitive contests, more meaningful contests coming up later on in the year.
Yeah, I think this has been a pretty disappointing series so far. We've reviewed the 2 games that have been played so far in the ODI series. And yeah, I mean, Bangladesh really have just dominated West Indies in both matches. As we know, a lot of players are not in the side for West Indies. The big guns like Kieran Pollard, Pooran, Hetmeyer, Russell, Sheldon Cottrell. I don't think Chris Gale plays ODIs for them anymore, so not him. But there's a number of players, Jason Holder as well. So there's a number of players that obviously are not there, or Shane Thomas. I mean, off the top of my head, it just keeps on coming to me because there's so many players unavailable. But they've put together a youngish side and really a second or third string side. There are some players in there that would be in the side, like Jason Mohammed. Also, there's been a couple of decent performances by Akil Hussain, the left arm spinner for West Indies, has looked quite good. Some disappointments. I think Joshua Da Silva is, a lot of people's eyes was seen as being the next big thing and a big prospect for 2021. A lot of people were saying that he's a player to watch out for. It hasn't quite gone the way that he would have liked in the first 2 games. He hasn't really scored any runs at all. May look quite good for West Indies. But yeah, I think West Indies really, it's one of those things, as you said, they need to maybe show a bit more fight. I think it's difficult because there's a big golfing class and they're away from home. And Bangladesh, let's be honest, have got the strongest side that they have available to them. Shakib's come back with a bang. Really nice to see him back. But they're a strong outfit now. Bangladesh are no longer that outfit that you look to go there as a West Indies or really any side and expect to win and expect to win easily. It's not a rollover assignment anymore. It's an assignment that, especially I think at home, Bangladesh are a very strong outfit. Let's hope that we get a more competitive test series because, we all like to see competitive test matches. I'm sure we will, but I agree with you. I think Bangladesh will most likely field a kind of half and half team. Half the team that they have been fielding in that strong 11, but also give a couple of people some more chances. And West Indies will be looking, as you said, to get some not even runs, some points on the board in that Super League table because at the moment they're on 0. And Afghanistan are racking up wins at the moment against Ireland. I think they've won their first 2 or 3 games. Bangladesh, I think, are third in the table. So they'll be wanting to usurp. I think it's they're joint with Pakistan, but I think it's either Australia or England, I think, or first and second. But they played a lot more games than Bangladesh. So if Bangladesh can win the third one and go for a clean sweep, then look, they're looking in a pretty strong position. And West Indies need to, as you said, avoid those qualifiers. So every game matters now in an ODI series, which is nice to see because it affects your World Cup qualification and rankings. But yeah, disappointing as a whole, but not too surprised, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you summed it up really well, Fizan. Not really much of a surprise how well Bangladesh are doing against the really second string West Indies side. And yeah, it's not great seeing, the best people playing, but I can understand with the current situation, we're all in, so I can understand that. So as you mentioned, Fizan, another ODI series that's part of the Super League is the Afghanistan-Ireland ODI series. So they played today in the second ODI after Afghanistan won the first ODI. So Rahmat Shah, 103, trumps Paul Sterling's 128 runs. And as a result, Afghanistan won by 7 wickets. So they, I think Ireland were set Afghanistan 159 after Sterling got 128. And a really good innings by Rahmat, 103 runs to get Afghanistan over the line to make them win that series 2-0. And it's an unassailable lead now, considering it is a free match series, I believe. So yeah, it's and a convincing win for Afghanistan. And yeah, sometimes it would have been nice if you would see Afghanistan against Bangladesh. That would have been a good series.
I'm not sure what their schedule is like. I think I need to look through each team's schedule and see what kind of games they've got coming up. But I think, as you said, Afghanistan are now fast becoming. Look, Bangladesh before was seen as a minnow side. They've now come into their own. Afghanistan are doing a very similar thing here. And they've got some very, very exciting young players. They really do. Majid picked up a 3-for. He is quality. I mean, I really, really rate him as a spinner. Naveen ul-Haq, I don't actually know much about this guy. I think he's relatively new, but he picked up 4. So really good to see him. Muhammad Nabi and Rashid Khan we know all about. And look, I mean, Rahmat Shah, I think I did see him in the World Cup in 2019. I think he's a youngster. He's pretty young. And 103 from 109 is a really impressive knock. And they need, one thing I'd say about Afghanistan is they need to shore up that batting. And it looks like they have now a little bit. It looks like they're getting people in who are more, I think mature is not the right word, but more accomplished, let's say. And they're ready to play different types of knocks. I think before they were seen as a gung-ho side and, kind of bang, wallop. But now they've got different layers to their game, which is good. And Hashmatullah Shahidi scored 82 off 100 balls as well. So they got it really pretty easy, that score. Ireland will be a bit disappointed because Paul Sterling really set them a really good platform with that 128. But Camphor chipped in with 47. But apart from that, there was really nothing from them. And I think Balbirnie, I've seen him and he looks quite classy, but he hasn't seemed to have done it, obviously, in this match anyway. And a bit disappointing because he's a very good player. And I think he needs to adapt better, but especially because we're going to see the T20 World Cup in similar conditions in India. So this is a good yardstick for everyone. But yeah, good to see these guys getting games in. And as you said, let's see how they do now, especially Afghanistan against these so-called bigger sides.
Yes, I'm definitely for some. I'm really looking forward to see how Afghanistan develop over the next few years leading up to the World Cup. They're an exciting team to watch and some quality players within that setup. So let's move on to the Big Bash League now. So it's coming towards near the end of the group stages, and teams are looking to book their place in the finals. So in today's matches, the Hobart Hurricanes beat the Sydney Sixers, and that's thanks to 145-run opening stand between Matthew Wade and Darcy Short, which is the highest of this year's Big Bash League. And they beat the Sydney Sixers by 7 runs, despite Silk's 78 runs for the Hobart Hurricanes. For the Sydney Sixers, I mean. And also in other today's match, the Adelaide Strikers beat the Sydney Thunder by 6 runs. And in that match, I believe Peter Siddle getting the player of the match, the good old Peter Siddle, still going strong. And how old is he, Peter Siddle?
He must be late 30s now.
Yeah, 36. Yeah, 36. So he's still doing the hard yards for his team. But in terms of the points table, Perth Scorchers are, and Sydney Sixers are ahead on 32 points. Adelaide Strikers on 28, and the Sydney Thunder on 27. So it's shaping up quite nicely near the end of the group stage.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think Perth Scorchers were quite a way behind, and they've now gone on a string of wins or some very good form, and they've now propelled themselves even to the top of the table. So interesting stuff, and interesting to see Dawid Malan only got 11 today actually, but Darcy Short and Matthew Wade, who was in terrible form in that India series, hit 86 or 44, so absolutely destroyed it for Hobart Hurricanes today. But yeah, some interesting knocks and matches, and I'm sure it'll be really interesting to see. Is there, with a Big Bash at the table, is it just a table, or do they have semis and finals, etc.?
No, they do. They do have semis and finals. I'm not sure how it works. Whether there's like a playoff, I'm not sure how it works. Let me quickly have a look for you. I think the first place automatically go through.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Let me check fixtures.
So there's a playoff that says eliminator, qualifier, knockout. Okay. There's quite a few, I think.
So I believe there's eliminator. So I think what happens there is one plays two, and whoever wins that will go into the final.
Yeah.
And then there's a qualifier where I believe
two will play the winner of 3 and 4. Is it?
Yeah, 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And then I believe I'm not too sure, but
that's very similar to the PSL. I think that's exactly the same as the PSL, and also I think the same as the IPL. I think so. Maybe I think all these franchise tournaments are trying to keep it consistent, which does make sense, I guess.
Yeah, apparently no. It's been revamped. Apparently.
Okay.
It's a 5 match format. 5 teams do battle in a 5 match format.
Oh yeah, I've got it here.
So,
okay. That's interesting. So it's eliminator first, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a greater reward for the teams finishing in the top 2.
Yeah.
And also keeps more teams in a hunt in the latter part of the stages.
Mm.
So the teams basically to get to the final on Saturday, February the 8th. So next Saturday, I believe, isn't it? No, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The team finishing first and second, they have to win either the qualifier or the challenger. And yeah, it's hard to explain.
I've got it here. It seems I'll tell you because I think this is.
So, okay, I've got it. I think I've got it.
Go on.
But basically, the first game that happens is the eliminator. That's Thursday, the 30th of January. So 4th versus 5th. Whoever wins that goes to the knockout. And then for that, for the knockout on Saturday, 1st of February, 3rd place plays the winner of that eliminator. And whoever wins that match goes to the challenger. And they will play the winner of the qualifier of the loser, of the qualifier between 1 and 2. And basically the qualifier determines who goes to the final. So 1 plays 2. So whoever wins that will go to the final. And whoever loses that will go to the challenger. And they'll play the winner of the 3rd place versus the winner of 4th and 5th. So that kind of makes sense now.
Yeah, I might put a the diagram so people can recognize, because
that is complicated, but
it is complicated for no reason. But yeah, it's an interesting format, to be fair.
Yeah, interesting. So got a feel for the 6th team that finishes 6th.
Yeah, exactly. Top 5. Well, I'll tell you what. Top 5 is I guess 1 and 2. There's a lot of. That's good. Number 3 is decent. And 4 and 5, though, it doesn't really matter where you finish between 4 and 5, does it?
Yeah.
And 1 and 2, it doesn't really matter either, to be honest.
Now, I'm glad we've explained that. I know sorry it took a few minutes, but I thought it'd be important to make sure we get the right information across.
Yeah, it is.
But in terms of, let's talk about one player. We are talking about him this week, Fizan, and his name is Alex Hales. Okay. A fantastic batsman, a destructive batsman, and he's currently the leading run scorer of the Big Bash League after his excellent 110 blitz earlier on this week for Sydney Thunder. He's averaging 36.3 with the bat. He's on 472 runs from 13 innings. My question to you is, Fazan, what does Alex Hales have to do to get recalled into that England side, especially with the World Cup coming up in the T20 coming up later on this year? What does Alex Hales have to do? And, especially, Roy, for England has been batting as well as he could do. What do you think?
Yeah, there's two things that need to happen, really, I think, for him to get looked at again. I think one is, I think Hales needs to sit down with the ECB and resolve some issues that clearly they have. I think Ed Smith said on Thursday he expects things to stay as they are, but no doors are closed. There's three. The second thing is Hales needs to continue this form that he clearly is on and really push. And thirdly, I think Roy, if he doesn't score runs in the India tour and the limited overs, there will be a massive push for Hales, I think, to at least be considered. I think he should be in the squad. If you look at openers, it's difficult because for me personally, I don't think Butler's an opener. I still don't think he's an opener in T20 cricket. I think he's a very good finisher and probably the best around. But I think as an opener, I'm still not sold on him. But if England are going to utilise him as an opener, then Alex Hales, it puts him down the pecking order once again. But if they're going to go with Bairstow and Roy, then Roy's looking pretty weak at the moment. So there's an argument to put Hales in there. Maybe not now, because I think Roy deserves a chance, at least another series against India. But he should be in the talks, I think, and in the discussions. And realistically, if it was me, I would have him in my squad, at least, for the T20 World Cup. Because, for example, if Roy or Bairstow don't fire in the first two games, you can bring him in, and you know that he'll probably do a decent job. So I think there's a few things that need to happen. But it's interesting. I think Morgan obviously wasn't happy with his conduct previously. So I think he'll need to make nice with Morgan and also Ed Smith and the ECB. And then really it's just a case of, look, do they want to consider him? He's, 32, I think it is. So he's still got a few more years left in him as a batsman. And there's back-to-back T20 World Cups. So this really now is a make or break. He missed the World Cup, which he should have been included in if he hadn't, let's say, misbehaved, which really is what happened. Otherwise, he would have been picked for that. And Bairstow stood up, as you said, but it could have been him and Roy in that World Cup side opening up. So, yeah, I'd like to see him in there. Let's see how it goes. I'm sure this will be a talking point as the T20 World Cup nears if he's still not picked.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to how this story develops over the next few months. So let's move on now to the Pakistan-South Africa series, which I'm really looking forward to. So Pakistan's head coach, Misbah-ul Haq, has come out and said that his team would try and forget what's happened at New Zealand and working to, as Fizan's smiling there, and working to regain confidence in the an upcoming home series against Africa. And I'm really looking, and I believe Babar Azam will be back, and he'll be his first as captain, which I'm really looking forward to. And yes, unfortunately, Babar was out against the New Zealand series where Pakistan were pretty much convincingly beaten by Kane Williamson's New Zealand team. And to add to that, they have picked 6 uncapped players. Pakistan have in the squad for the Karachi test, which begins on Wednesday, I believe. On Tuesday, I believe. So definitely looking forward to that test match in Karachi.
Yeah, that's going to be an absolute cracker, hopefully. Let's see how it goes. Pakistan have not got any excuses with missing players. So now it's just a case of stringing together some good performances here, really. South Africa coming into this with a full strength side. Rabada's going to be back for them. KG, as the South Africans like to call him. Their test squad is full strength. The T20 squad is not. But let's be honest, T20 cricket is the epitome. So, look, I mean, we've got a few new players in, as I discussed, I think it was last week. So I won't go into that too much. But Pakistan I think they're contemplating opening up with Azhar Ali and Abd Ali. I would prefer if they went with Imran Butt, who's not as experienced, but he's a proper opener. Azhar Ali at 3, and then kind of go from there. Bob Razm at 4, etc. Let's see how this goes. Hopefully, it's a very competitive test match. I'm hoping Pakistan can pull it off. They're at home. They've got home advantage. They should be able to, adapt to the conditions very quickly, given, these conditions they've grown up in. Pakistan should do a good job here. I have pretty high hopes for them. Let's see. Mohammad Rizwan's in very good form, but South Africa coming into this with Elgar in terrific form. We know how good Rabada is, a strike rate of 40, which is unbelievable. And yeah, I mean, du Plessis got runs as well. And Quinton de Kock will be wanting to make a statement, considering he didn't play very well in that Sri Lanka series. So let's see how it goes. I think it's going to be a very good series. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the right word there, looking forward to it. And one player you mentioned there is Faf du Plessis. He is on back of some good runs against Sri Lanka in South Africa. I think he hit 199 in that series, in that test match, last test match, I believe. And Asia and England are the only two places where du Plessis hasn't scored 100. And it's interesting, 15 tests he's played in the subcontinent. So in India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and UAE, he averages 22.7, and which is well below his actual average of 41. So I think du Plessis is going to look to get some runs in Pakistan. And I think he's a player to look at this series. He's my player to watch, I believe, for South Africa.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah. I'll give you my players to watch. Why not? What's your Pakistani player to watch?
And Babar Azam.
Well, Russell, yeah. I think for me,
Who else?
I don't know. Maybe it's someone different who is a bit younger, or you think, they might get runs. I think for me, the player to watch out for South Africa is going to be. So it depends who they go with spin option wise, but I think Maharaj is going to be key for them. I'm assuming he's going to play, so he's going to be a big key to see how he does. Van der Dusten's another one. I'm interested to see how he does in these conditions because he's relatively new to the test arena. For Pakistan, I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully Tabish Khan, who's been someone who's got a bucket load of wickets for Pakistan. Not for Pakistan, sorry, in domestic cricket. And he's very experienced. So I'm hoping he plays. And if he does, and Hassan Ali, his return, let's see how he does as a bowling option. He's had a terrific domestic season. And he's back and fully fit. Let's see what he can do now on the world stage once again. Hopefully back to his best.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that series. And in that series, the South African players will wear black armbands in order to raise awareness for gender-based violence, which is a big issue in South Africa and also all around the world. So that's a really good initiative to raise awareness for. And their female counterparts, South African women, also made a stand for that as well, which is really important. It's really good to see. I think cricket is trying to spread these really important messages to the whole world. We saw earlier this summer the Black Lives Matter movement, which was really important as well. So some good things coming out in terms of raising awareness to the wider public.
Yeah, well said.
And something else that really caught my attention this, especially I was reading online, and Sarah Taylor, who's one, England's one of England's best female players, especially one of the best wicket keepers I've seen going around, male or female. she spoke about her anxiety and about why it ended her cricket career. And I think that was really important for her to talk about that. And I think she has started an initiative to help people talk about experiences, and it's called the Sussex Cricket Mental Health and Wellbeing Hub. So that is a good thing that Sarah Taylor has come out and comfortable to talk about her experiences with anxiety and depression, which was, I think, a really, really bold and brave thing to do.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a big issue. I think we did the video with, I think it was on Freddie Flintoff, wasn't it? And he did that documentary about mental health and awareness, and we talked about him and Tyson Fury, and it is something that's prevalent in elite sport, and she is an elite sportswoman. It's a shame that obviously she had to retire when she did. I think she said she may come back, obviously only if her mental health is in a good place. Very good that she's doing this initiative, and as you said, she was a quality wicketkeeper and one of the best that I've seen in terms of glovesmen and gloves women, just gloves person, I guess, gloves keeper. Let's just say wicketkeeper. And yeah, I think really, really good to see. And I don't know, are you going to touch upon the South Africa Pakistan women's series?
Yes. Are you going to talk? Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can briefly talk about it. I mean, I'm not as brushed up on it as I should be, but South Africa, I think the first match, I think it's the ODI series even, and yeah, I mean, Pakistan going to South Africa, so they're in there because, South Africa have come to. No, it is Pakistan in South
Pakistan in South Africa.
Yeah, it is Pakistan in South Africa. Sorry,
they played in Durban, and they're playing in Durban.
Yeah, they're playing in Durban. Sorry, my mistake. And yeah, I think Pakistani women haven't done as well as they would have liked. Lost the series so far. They're 2-0 down, so an unassailable lead for South Africa. And I think it's a 3-match series. Marizanne Kapp's done really well. She scored 115, including a not out. She averages 150. And Nida Dad has done pretty well as well. She scored 110. But South Africa really in control of this series after a very, very tight first match when I think they won by only a couple of runs, I think it was South Africa. So it's been a pretty competitive series. Obviously not the result that the Pakistani women would have liked, but good to see some competitive women's cricket on. And yeah, if you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. And I'm sure the third ODI will give some good entertainment as well. Sorry, 3 runs. It was a 3-run win even.
It was a close one, wasn't it? And I think it's kind of a lead up to the 2020. It was meant the 50 over Women's Cricket World Cup was meant to happen this year, but it's been postponed to next year due to the pandemic. So I think a lot of teams are trying to get as much experience as possible and try and build up their experiences, and be in the best possible shape for next year, which I'm really looking forward to. So that concludes, I think that's everything really we have covered in terms of the talking points. So now let's move on to the awards. I think this is part of the show, part of the video where...
Before you do we want to discuss the LBW that you'd mentioned earlier?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me, Fizan. So I was speaking to Fizan earlier, and this was after watching, Joe Root's masterclass, swooping masterclass, and seeing him, reversing the bowlers. And my question is that should the LBW rule be changed so that if a batsman, plays a reverse sweep or the switch hit, can they be given out LBW if the ball pitches outside leg stump? And that is my question, because if a batsman does switch around, he is technically left-handed batsman. A right-hander become a left-handed batsman, and if the ball pitches on leg stump, it would technically be the off stump. So my question is, should there be a discussion about this? What's your views on this, Fizan? What's your gut instinct?
My gut instinct is actually that I think it should be changed because it's funny because as someone who's a batsman predominantly, In club cricket, like you would think that I would be very much, the flag bearer for, batsmen having as many advantages as possible. But I mean, obviously, it doesn't really affect me. I'm never going to play where DRS affects me. But I think, to be honest with you, I do think that switch hits are fine. I don't mind switch hits being played. I don't mind, for example, Root went into a proper left-handed position and played a reverse sweep.
He even played a cut once.
Yeah, which is fine, right? Like, that's not an issue. But the issue I have with it is, as you said, that it's given an advantage to the batsman, which is okay. I don't mind the batsman having that option. But then similarly, the bowler should have the option to, as you said, if they go into a left-handed position, then should you not be looking at it as an LBW for a left-hander? That's what I would be looking at it for. Yeah.
My question is, right? Okay, Joe Root goes left-handed batsman position.
Yeah.
Can he get out to a normal LBW because he's a left-hander now?
What do you mean a normal LBW? Like,
so,
as in if it was for a right-hander?
If he was a right-hander, okay. Imagine if he was a right-hander and he pitched outside off stump, but if all of a sudden he goes left-handed, and that off-stump ball will now be a leg stump ball, and technically he can't be out if he pitches outside leg stump, if he switches position.
Yeah.
So my question is, if we do change the rule, so saying that, okay, that means you can get out if a ball pitches outside your original leg stump, does that mean you still can be out to a ball pitching on outside the original off stump? So all of a sudden, you're going to discourage batsmen playing the sweep shot or the reverse hit because they can get out LBW from a ball that pitches off stump and also for a ball that pitches leg stump.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it's difficult. It's tricky, isn't it? Because for me, I'm thinking, well, if you go into a left-hand position, then the LBW comes into play, but only as a left-hander. But then, as you're saying, then maybe it should be potentially, if you've given them that advantage, then you have to say, well, you can get LBW as a right-hander or left-hander. Is that what you're trying to say? Potentially.
What I'm saying is, yeah, exactly. What I'm saying is that as soon as you go for a switch hit or a reverse sweep, if you say that you're now going to be the LBW laws come into play for your left-handed batsman now, that means obviously you can't get out to a left-hander's leg stump, which is a right hand's off stump. Yeah. So the LBW rule kind of switches, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it'd be unfair to keep, if you play a switch hit or reverse hit, they can get out LBW for a left-hander and also as a right-hander.
Yeah. I think it should be left-hand. The LBW comes into play for a left-hand if you then switch it. But then there's a question of when do you, what is classed as a switch hit? Does a reverse sweep count? I'm assuming it does, but then you have a proper switch hit where they go into a left-handed position. So I guess it's like you have to think about it both ways. So it's interesting because you don't want it to be a case of you change the rules to try and give bowlers more of a kind of even playing field, but it actually backfires and it means that it cuts out potentially an LBW which they're targeting from a right-handed position. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I think maybe this is something that maybe we need to get a few more people involved and kind of talk it through, because I think it's very interesting actually. I think there's a couple of ways that it could go, but what's the best way of going forward, I'm unsure about actually, to be honest, after discussing it. But I think it should be looked at. I don't think it should stay as it is at the moment. That's what I think.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe if the players switch it, that if a ball pitches outside leg stump, that you can. But they are playing a shot anyway, so maybe I think I've just figured it out that there is quite a tricky one to negotiate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I remember when the KP did it against Murali, switched him for six. You're just thinking, this guy's just changed cricket, and sometimes the rules takes a while to kind of catch up with the pitcher.
Well,
it's because, isn't it?
It's because no one's expecting anyone to do that. That's the issue. So when he did it, and it was like, hold on, is that allowed? And like everyone's like, well, there's nothing in the rules that says it's not allowed. And it's almost like when obviously when people are making the rules and when you teach children to play cricket at that time, no one was saying, oh yeah, just change your hands and just switch and hit with your left hand, like left-handed. Like no one's ever thinking that. So he came up with something which was truly innovative, really, at the time, and no one did it. And he did it, and then everyone's thinking, hold on, okay, how do we address this? And it's kind of just what's happened is they've left it as it is, and it's given an advantage to the batsman, which is fine. But then I think there comes a point now where people are playing it in Test cricket even, and then you need to look at it. Well, how can we get to a point where the bowlers feel like they're not at a massive disadvantage because they can switch it?
Yeah.
Makes sense. So I think it's an interesting point. Because it's different to something like, for example, the Dill scoop like Dilshan did. That's very different because that's a shot that he's playing in a right-handed position, and it's still an incredibly innovative shot over the wicketkeeper to make it basically everyone can play 360 now.
Yeah,
but you can play 360 with a Dill scoop, but also by playing left-handed, and so it just opens up everything. And as a batsman, it gives you so many tools that you can use, as long as you have to execute it, of course. But as a bowler, you don't have that. You bowl with one hand. You have one ball. You know that they're very, very strict now on like how you treat the ball as well. You know, like as we've seen with Steve Smith, etc. Like people get done, which is rightly so. Like that's against the rules. But I think as a bowler, there's a lot of disadvantages. I think at the moment because if you think about it from a bowler's point of view, what advantages have bowlers got? What advantages have bowlers got over the years? Probably none. The power play's been introduced, which means that you can only have a certain number of fielders, like maybe outside the circle.
Also, I think in some games they have one ball on each end.
Yeah, but that doesn't really help then because then that eliminates reverse swing.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So yeah, like you have the new ball, but then really it balances it out because there's no reverse swing towards the end of the innings. And then also, like for a bowler, well, okay, like batsmen have had power plays introduced, bigger bats. You know, they can switch it. They've got the Dill scoop. They've got more protection. But as a bowler, you're limited to what, 2 bounces per over, or 2 short deliveries per over in Test cricket. Whereas before it was unlimited. Now, you know, they've got no ball checks, so they check every single ball. The only advantage you could say is maybe potentially DRS, but then that's for batsmen and bowlers.
Yeah.
So really, an umpire's call is also it's the benefit for the batsman. Really,
yeah. Like today, I saw the umpire was just if they weren't too sure it was hitting, they'll say not out. But surely you should be thinking, oh, there's a chance it's clipping. If it's clipping, it's out, right? But nowadays they say, oh, it's clipping. Let's say not out. When it goes umpire's call, right?
Yeah.
So that's the issue.
So I just think as a bowler, like it's not like they've changed the balls, that the ball swing more. Probably less so because they're not allowed to do as much with the ball. The ball reverses less. I think that's also to do with skill, but you know the type of ball as well. The Duke ball in England does a bit, but the Kookaburra ball doesn't really do as much as it should do. There's a lot of factors to go into it, I think. And T20 cricket has meant that batsmen are more aggressive, but bowling hasn't. I feel like bowlers, as the years have gone on, have less advantages, but batsmen have had more. And now we're at a point where really there's quite a big disparity between the two. And it's become a batsman-dominated game. Like when we did the awards, all we talked about was, majority of the time, was batsmen, really. Do you remember you were saying it?
But let's face it, Fizan, right? What would you rather watch? As you know, would you rather watch a high-scoring game, or a low-scoring game?
I don't mind. I want to have a mixture. That's what I want. Like my ideal scenario is that I have a game, for example, like an ODI, where it's around maybe 270, 260, and then you've got stumps flying everywhere, but you've also got some runs in there. Like to be honest, that Afghanistan Island game, I think it was 260.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. That's perfect, really. A couple, someone scored 100. They obviously adapted to the pitch. They did well. But, you know, there's also wickets there. So I think it was, 260. I mean, that's really perfect. But nowadays, what scores are par? 300s par. That's par now, really, in ODI cricket.
You can argue 330, 350 nowadays.
Well, I think 300 is depending on the conditions, I guess. Let's
Yeah.
say, because in England, the World Cup, some scores were in the 200s, weren't they? Because that's, I think the conditions in England are more bowler friendly, let's say. But I do think that there needs to be a look into it. I think it is too batsman dominated. And I understand the fever around wanting to see 4s and 6s, as you said. But what's the difference? Why can't there be a fever around people bowling Yorkers and getting their stumps flying everywhere, or people bowling bouncers and the batsman has to fend it off, or a cracking delivery that swings away from the batsman and it nicks off? Like for me, growing up, even as a batsman, I'd love to see stumps out the ground. I'd love to see Umar Gul bowl for Pakistan. He bowled full and straight. He used to clean people up. I used to love seeing that as much as I used to love seeing Shahid Afridi hit a 6. But that's why, like for me growing up, I had that. Whereas I feel like nowadays, the youngsters, everyone wants to be a batsman. Really? Why do you want to be a bowler running in and then the strain on your body and then really the advantages you have are pretty low? And someone's got this bat which is twice the size of what it used to be, but the ball's the same size. I don't know. It's difficult. And
It's
the
a
advantage
batsman's
not
game.
there.
It's a batsman's game.
Yeah, it's become a batsman's game. And I think, we've gone a bit of a tangent, but I think that kind of feeds into the LBW thing. And the reason why I think we even contemplate thinking about it like you have is because I think subconsciously, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're probably thinking in your head, batsmen already have so many advantages. Should this be another one? Or do we need to pull it back a little bit so bowlers have something? But you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's what you're thinking, and that's what I'm thinking as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a debate to be had, and I think there needs to be some discussion on how bowlers can take back the initiative.
Yeah,
because it has been batsman heavy over the last 10 years or so, that's for sure. So I think that's everything really in terms of the talking points. We ended on quite a good one, really. So feel free to comment on what you think below.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. You're right. Please, guys, comment what you think about the LBW venues. He articulated it really well about whether the LBW rule should be changed due to switch hitting, and do you think it's a batsman's game? And do you think that's right? I think because Venu, you made a good point. Do you prefer it to be a high-scoring game or low-scoring game? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm one of the few that likes the mixture. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but we went to the Pakistan West Indies ODI at Trent Bridge, where Pakistan got bowled out for 100 odd.
Yeah.
I drove all the way there.
That was less than 100, I think. But the difference is with that, right?
It?
But the difference with that is we got skittled. There's a difference between getting skittled, right, and a competitive match. I think even if we'd scored 160, right, it's still going to be a decent game because Pakistan have some runs on the board. And with the bowling attack we had, we probably could have done. It would have been a decent-ish game. But I think we got skittled for like 79, which is any score below 100 is not a match. Similarly, if you score 400 in a game, most likely no one's going to chase that. So I just think there's two extremes, and that was an extreme. But I'm talking about having a mixture. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Where the par score is not 300, the par score is maybe 250, 260.
Yeah, just to maybe rein it in slightly. Just so at the moment it's probably 60-40, maybe slightly more to batsmen, but just rein it in a bit.
Yeah,
I agree with you definitely. And also, guys, if you have any suggestions on how you can make it more bowler friendly or giving less advantage to batsmen, feel free to comment on that as well. So, yeah, some interesting talking points to end there, Fizan. So thanks for that. In terms of, let's go on to the awards now. The Venu's weekly awards that I'm sure a lot of you look forward to every week. So let's start off with the one we always start of the week. It has to be Joe Root. Who else? Embuldeniya potentially.
Yeah,
we're going for a batsman instead of a bowler.
Embuldeniya's up there. Anderson, Joe Root, Rishabh Pant.
Anderson, I forgot. Yeah.
Rishabh Pant obviously had that really good knock as well. But I think considering how, although hold on, last week we gave it to Joe Root, didn't we? Because of the 200.
Yeah, we did.
So that's not included. So we're looking at Joe Root's 180, Embuldeniya's 7th for, Anderson's 6th for, and Rishabh Pant's knock. I think I wouldn't go Rishabh Pant just because I feel like that was a team effort more than just him. I feel like that was, when we go to Team of the Week, I'm sure we'll touch upon it. But I think In terms of knock, I mean, it's hard to look away from Joe Root, but you know what, Embaldiniya, I'm kind of, I don't know. You know what?
It's funny. It's funny.
I'd like to go with Embaldiniya.
What's the bigger feat? Getting 7 wickets in innings or getting 200 in a
Well, he got 180, didn't he?
180? Sorry.
Yeah.
So
he got 180, and Embaldiniya got 7 for. I think, given the circumstances, that there was a lot of pressure. Yeah, but James Anderson's a 6 for. I think that's a bit different. He didn't go for as many runs, to be fair. But I do think, and I know we discussed it with Arangay in the review, that I do think the conditions, look, obviously they're nowhere near as good as in England. But with a new Cherry, he'll still be effective, and he clearly was, getting those wickets. And then the few wickets that he got with the older ball, I think the batsman could have done slightly better. But if you look at how well Embaldiniya bowled, like, as I said, I think it was 6 of the 7 wickets were nicked to first slip. I just think it's incredible. And given his inexperience, given it's only his 8th test match, I think he probably deserves to get it.
Okay, I'm sold. Let's give it to Lasith Embuldeniya. So well done, Lasith. So well done for winning our Star of the Week.
Yeah. Root was a close second, I think, with a 180.
I mean Anderson just behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So well done, Lasith Embuldeniya. Very impressive performance so far. This test match. And let's look at Team of the Week. You can't look past India, can you, Fizan? You can't.
No, as I said, look, I mean, the series pretty much is going to be among the discussions for best series wins ever, and that's due to obviously that famous win at the Gabba, first win, first defeat for Australia since 1988 at the Gabba, and yeah, incredible performance given the injuries, etc. as well. Rishabh Pant, as we mentioned, incredible knock, and yeah, I think India for sure.
Yeah, 100% India. In terms of what do you normally do next?
Player that needs to do their homework?
Yeah, player that needs to do their homework. Who do you think, Fizan? Let's have a think. Oh, maybe one Zach Crawley or Dom Sibley?
Yeah, so we did the openers last week, and nothing's really changed, has it?
No.
But what I would go with is the England spinners. No wickets for them. No, well, the reason I say that is no wickets for them in Gaul, considering Gaul is a spinner's paradise. And even though it was day one, or, a day and a half, for example, I still think the fact that all 10 wickets came from seamers for the first time for a very long time in a test innings, and given it was in Sri Lanka, it just, to me, screams that the England spinners didn't bowl well enough, and they didn't give enough support to the seamers. I'm sure they might do better in the second innings, but Bess and Leach, and I kind of, for Bess especially, I saw this coming, because I said to you that I think he got slightly fortunate in the first test, and he admitted himself he did. He picked up 8 wickets in that. No wickets for him in the first innings. He's going to have to bowl a lot better in the second innings. Leach was slightly better, but even then, I do think he will be disappointed. I think both of them didn't apply themselves in the right way. Leach bowled too quick, and Bess was just it was just pedestrian bowling, really, not really threatening. So for me, I think they need to do a lot of homework and perform a lot better in the second innings. The only other person I was thinking of, I guess you could pick one of the Australians, someone like Mitchell Starc. He bowled really poorly. He went for 19 in one of the overs, which really propelled India to give them that confidence to go on and get that score. And Matthew Wade hasn't had a great series, but yeah, I think Mitchell Starc is anyone I can think of, but I'm very strongly of the opinion that England spinners performed very poorly in that first innings.
I agree, and with India coming as well, they really need to up the game for them to stand a chance of winning there.
Yeah.
Especially last time when they won that year. Obviously the batsmen contributed, like Cook and Peterson.
Yeah. Well, it was Moyne. It was Cash said rightly so that it was Moyne and Rashid got all the wickets, and I think Anderson only picked up 3 that whole series.
Yeah, but and also the series I was talking about was the Panesar Swan.
Swan one, yeah.
Yeah, and they're both quality bowlers, so
Yeah.
they need to up their game, and maybe Ali might get a game. But it's interesting that Rashid hasn't really been picked this series, and I think that's because of his shoulder injury, also, and also he doesn't really play much red ball cricket for Yorkshire as well. So that might send out a wrong message to the county players.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that definitely. I think if Best had performed well in the first innings, I think if he performs very well in the second innings, then he has a shout potentially of keeping Moeen out. But I think the fact that they've included Moeen Ali, who's 33 years old, in the squad means they're going to play him, or they wanted to play him. I think he definitely would have been in the side for the first test. I think maybe they wouldn't have gone with Leach, but I feel like Leach gives you that little bit of advantage with the left arm spinning away from the right hander, and then Moeen is obviously the off spinner. So personally, I think I would go with Moeen and Leach, but they do like Best because, as he showed today, he can bat a little bit as well. But obviously, Moeen is a better batsman, I think, in general than Best. So it just really depends. They might then drop Leach because he can't bat as much. I don't know. I do think, though, Moeen will feature in the first test, and probably he'll need to if these guys don't perform better in the second innings, because he even then is not an elite spinner, but I think he performed a lot better than they did when he last came to the subcontinent.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a good shout to put England spinners. Who would you pick? Which two?
I'd personally go with Moeen and Leach because I know Best gives you a little bit of batting, but it's not enough for me to pick him over Leach. And Leach has the left arm. I feel like having a right arm, left arm combination of spinners is good because similar with Rashid, they had spin both ways, right? So away from the right hander with the leg spin of Rashid, and into the right hander, or away from the left hander with the off spin of Moeen. Similarly, if they have the off spin of Moeen and then the left arm off spin of Leach, you have that same dynamic. And I think they don't have Rashid in there, so Leach gives you that. And I feel like Leach will be more confident bowling in tandem with Moeen, because he'll step up and basically they'll put him as the number one spinner because he has the experience and has more experience than Leach in international cricket. So he'll feel like, okay, I'm second fiddle, but in a way, he'll probably, in his head, he'll think, okay, well, this is good because I can go back to my game and be attacking, or try and be more attacking, rather than having to worry about being the lead spinner here. And Best, I think for me, as I said, has been a bit too pedestrian. And as an off spinner, I'd prefer Moeen, and he gives more of the bat in general. So he has more experience in the subcontinent as well. And I think that's why they picked him. So I would go with those two. What about you?
Yeah, I'd like to see Moeen in there, and Leach probably as well. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that series that starts in a couple of weeks after the Sri Lanka England series. So in terms of so we've gone for the England spinners who need to do the homework. Who would you pick out of Leach and Best in particular to do the homework?
In particular, it's difficult. Really, both of them do. I think they've both got different things to work on. Leach, I think, bowled too quickly for me. If you see embaldiniya, as you said, he's got very nice flight. In these conditions, which are spinner-friendly conditions, it doesn't matter if it's day one, you still need to back yourself. He bowled too quickly. He was bowling like 56, 57 miles an hour. You should be really going down to between 50 to 52, 53. And that couple of miles per hour off the ball and a bit more flight does make a big difference. And it gives you more grip and turn on the surface. You still put revs on the ball. You just don't go as flat with your bowling. And I think he was a bit too flat. And as on the other hand, Bess, I think, wasn't bowling particularly attacking lines and lengths. And that's been something that has been a feature of his game for a very long time. And the reason why is because in England, his job is to really contain, and it's not particularly to get wickets. So he'll contain, and the seamers will do the job on the other end. But here, he should be seen as a primary weapon, but he unfortunately is struggling to adapt to that. So I think two different things to work on, really. I guess because Best got a few runs, you could say maybe more Leach, but I think both of them really.
Okay, yeah, well put there, Fazan. So in terms of, let's think of a team that needs to do their homework this week. I think I've got to go for the West Indies ODI team. They haven't been great. I know they're missing
That's a good point. You know, we actually didn't even think about giving Bangladesh the team of the week, which obviously I think is clearly going to be India. But I think we should maybe touch upon them because they did really well. Sorry.
Well, Afghanistan after.
Yeah, Afghanistan as well.
Yeah.
And actually for player of the week, Shakib has bowled really well as well for Bangladesh and scored runs. So I think, yeah, pardon us for leaving him out. But he'll definitely be in the discussion, but he wouldn't have won it. I think Emblediniya definitely. Yeah, I think West Indies for sure. Although it's difficult, Venu, because when we gave Sri Lanka we said before when Sri Lanka had loads of injuries, we said maybe we shouldn't. I said we shouldn't pick Sri Lanka because I think it's a bit unfair. I think here there's a little bit, for me, I do feel a little bit like they shouldn't have to do their homework because it's a crop of very young, inexperienced players.
The more reason to do their homework.
Yeah, maybe, but I feel like when we give homework to people, it's more because they have underperformed, and so we're giving them extra homework to do or supplementary work to do. But yeah, I think fine. If we're going to go with that, then I think, yeah, West Indies, I think they need to learn how to play better in these conditions, especially the batsmen. They need to apply themselves better, not get bogged down. They face quite a lot of spin in the West Indies, so really, they should play a bit better. Of course, these conditions are more suited. They're dustier, they're going to turn, they're going to bounce more. But yeah, I think for sure, West Indies, let's give it to them. I'm happy with that.
Okay.
I guess Australia as well.
Yeah,
on the discussion.
Australia could be one as well. Yeah.
Lack the killer instinct, big time.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, so we've done that. Let's go for funniest moment of the week.
Funniest moment.
I've got to go for Dick Weller.
Yeah, his banter behind the stumps was great. Loved it.
Like, I think when he goes up to Bairstow, and then he says to Bairstow, "Oh, you've been dropped for the." He's saying to his teammates, "Oh, look, he's been dropped for the India team. He's scoring runs. Is that because you're getting rests because you're playing in the IPL? So you're
just for cash, yeah.
Just for cash. Oh, that's hilarious. So,
that was hilarious, yeah. And that's the kind of banter you want, right? Because it's like when people say about sledging and stuff, like that's fine though, because that type of sledging is not like super personal or like, crossing a line. It's just, it's funny. And I think Mike Upton said that's kind of what you want to see. And he was great. I think he said to Dan Lawrence, he said, he's like, you're really good. Can you teach me how to play some shots later? And then obviously Dan Lawrence got out for 3, didn't he? Which was quite funny. And I think he said to Root, Root was saying something to him. Root was like, this bat's really heavy. And he was like, oh, don't worry, we've got a spare one for you. And I was like, it's just good.
It adds to the spectacle, right?
Yeah.
And
I love having a chat with the wicketkeeper behind the stumps, to be honest, when I play, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I love it. It depends. There's some that are horrible. Like they're just that they chat. Even when the bowler's running in, they chat.
I didn't have to do that.
Which is bad. Yeah, they're very far and few between, but there's some that do it, which is you're not supposed to do it. When I was younger and I played adult cricket when I was like 16, 17, some used to do it, and then obviously I didn't say anything. Nowadays, if that happened, I would just back away and I'd be like, he's chatting, so that's why I backed away. But there's some that are quite funny. Like if you hit a good shot, like if I hit a shot that's gone for 4, or like they can tell it's a quality shot, they'll be like, oh, shot, okay, fair play, And like even with me, like if I get a ball, for example, that turns past the bat, or it's a really good ball, and I go out the way, I go, oh, it's a good ball, isn't it? And he's like, yeah. I was like, he's swinging it quite a bit, isn't he? He's like, yeah, he's a good swing bowler, and like I'll chat with him, or like if one just pops off a length, I'll be like, oh, that popped, didn't it? He'll be like, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I'll have a chat with the wicketkeeper. It's quite funny. Sometimes it's good because it's a good break between balls, and then obviously I switch back on. Some people don't like doing it because they don't like speaking to the wicketkeeper because it distracts them. But I don't mind it. It's a bit of fun, and it's a challenge, right? It's quite nice to. Sometimes it's friendly banter. Sometimes it's a bit more edgy, but that's all good. I think as long as it's not crossing a line, then it's all good for me, really.
Yeah, it's good to hear about your experiences. Yeah, it's quite good insight. In terms of moment of the week, what's your moment of the week, Fazan, in the world of cricket?
Moment of the week. Yeah, so as I said, Roots 200 was
And
last week.
He went past some big names in English cricket in terms of leading England Test run scorers. He went past Peterson, Gower, and
Boycott.
so some big names. That's a moment in terms of English cricket, but in terms of cricket overall,
Yeah.
I
I think India really winning the series. I think I'm as a boxer, I'm happy to concede that, to be honest, just because I think if you look at it subjectively,
that is a moment.
or objectively, that is really the moment of the week,
And
because
in fact, they needed 300 plus chasing. And at one moment, it looked like Australia were going to win it. At one moment, it looked like it was going to be a draw. At one moment, all of a sudden, India going to win this.
Yeah, I think maybe even not just to say that India winning. I think that day 5, the way it went was a moment of the week, because you said that it's good for Test cricket when stuff like this happens, and I agree. There's excitement around it, so I think the excitement around the series now in that day 5, and I think for me is the moment of the week for sure, and the way that it was won, as you said, it was a topsy-turvy day, so I'm happy to go with that.
Okay, awesome, great. So what are you looking forward to this week, Fazan? I'm probably looking forward to the start of the Pakistan-South Africa Test match. I think that's probably you'd be looking forward to as well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, it'll be great because I'll be able to wake up, and I think it starts at 5, so I'll be able to catch at least half of it. Once I've woken up and I'm watching it in the background while working. So that'll be fantastic. Can't wait for that. Really can't. I can't wait to do reviews with you guys on it as well. But we'll see whether it gets to day 5. If it does, we may be doing a live on, I think it's Saturday. But otherwise, we won't be. So I'll look forward to that if we manage to do that, because it'll be nice to cover and do a live on Pakistan, especially at home. And great to see that they'll be on Sky Sports. Like, I can't wait. Like, it'll be great. Just have the commentary on there. Hopefully no Ramiz Raja, but I'm sure he'll definitely be on there. I think they've got Simon Dool. I don't know why, because he's a Kiwi, huh?
Is it on Sky?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on Sky. Remember I said to you it'll be on Sky. So I'm pretty sure it is. I'll double check as well. But it's from what I know, they've signed a extensive, I think, 3-year deal with Sky. So all home series are going to be on Sky. And also the PSL will be on Sky as well. So
that's good. That starts in March, doesn't it?
Yeah, starts in February next month. Yeah, nice. So next month they'll be starting. So looking forward to that. But yeah, that's me. That's me, really.
Awesome. Yeah, that's me as well. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of Venu's Weekly Cricket Catch Up. If you do like the content, please do like the video and also to subscribe to Fazan's channel as well. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. So bye for now.
Thank you, Annie.